Today is Saturday, which means it is park run day, and we're heading over to Warwick Racecourse PARKRUN. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about this park run whilst trying to achieve my best time. So Warwick Racecourse PARKRUN is obviously located within Warwick, and it is on the west hand side in the Midlands, so not too far from the centre and quite an easy one to get to too. It is an out and back course all the way around the racecourse, and it isn't too hilly either, apart from in the middle section where there's a small bump. In terms of the terrain, it is on multiple terrains including trail and gravel paths, so therefore I'd recommend taking trail shoes today. However, in the summer months when the ground is a little bit harder, then road shoes are fine, but in the winter months the trail paths do get quite wet and muddy, so therefore I'd recommend bringing your trail shoes. What is also good to know is that the course is buggy/pram friendly, and it is also dog friendly too, so you can bring them along. And also there are toilets located just 7 minutes away from the start in the market square of Warwick here, so not too far from the start. And then at the end they also have toilets at the Foresters Close pub, which is the post park run cafe to go to. In terms of the scenery, it is not the most scenic park run that I've ever been to, however it is quite cool running around a race course if you've not done one of those already. And because it's running around a race course, it is mostly flat too, so there is the potential for a PB. However, with that small hill towards the end of the out and back, that does make it just that little bit harder, so maybe there are quicker courses which you can do in and around the area. But before we do go any further, if you don't know what a park run is, it is essentially a 5k run which is set up by a group of volunteers who both time and marshal the event. Once you hit the finish line, you'll be given a finish token that will be scanned along your own personalised barcode, and then you'll be sent your official time and position later on. And now let's take a quick look at a summary of the course. So it's quite a simple one. You literally follow the edge of the race course the whole way around. You'll see in that top left hand corner that this section here has a small incline and small decline, but apart from that it is pretty much flat. So it's got an elevation gain of just 28 meters and a max elevation of 65 meters. So pretty good one. That is a quick summary of the course, but let's take a look at it in a bit more detail. Starting off on the eastern side of the race course here and heading your way down to the south. You're then going to make a right hand turn, and this is going to go onto trail paths. So you're going to be going all the way around the Warwick Racecourse Caravan Club site and head your way back down towards the south. Once you get to this point, it then changes from the trail to gravel. So you're going to head your way all the way around to the south side of the racecourse, do the loop down there at the bottom, and head your way up to the northern side. So this is going to be alongside the Gog Brook. This is all flat, so it is a nice and easy run. You're then going to go and do the swooping right hand turn, and then this is where the incline is. So you'll notice that it'll go up from about 55 meters to about 65. So it's sort of a gentle incline on this section of the run. You're then going to head your way down at the other side of the small mound and turn off to the right before you get to this point here, and that is where you'll do the U-turn. So once you do that U-turn, you're then going to head back on the exact same path that you were on, so back up and down here, and then turn off to the left, all the way back down to the south, do the loop, heading your way back up north, back onto the trail path, and then it is a sprint finish at the end. So it is a pretty easy one to follow, and there's not any other paths that's going to be pointing you in the wrong direction apart from around the caravan site, but there are marshals there to stop you from going the wrong way, so can't really go wrong on this one. That is the course, but now it's time to take a look at some incredible stats which have been set at Warwick Racecourse PARKRUN. Starting off with the fastest male, who is Callum Hanlon, with a time of 14 minutes and 51 seconds, which is unbelievable. The fastest female is Rachel Gilworth with a time of 17 minutes and 25 seconds. So again, that is probably one of the quickest times I've seen from a female on a course. And then the average number of runners is 362, with the average time being 29:44. So it's a fairly busy park run, and you will notice that at the start of the video in just a second. However, it is quite a quick one too, as you can tell by the such quick park run records. But now it's time to take a look at some of my stats. So not quite as impressive as the ones we've just seen then, but we have done 74 park runs so far at 54 different locations. My best finish position was 4th, set in Poland in Zielony Jar, and my fastest times range from Summerdale Pavilion to Grangemore, which goes from 22.32 all the way down to 23.09. So that is the time which we need to beat if we want to get it onto the leaderboard. And now it's time to get into the run. So what you have all been waiting for, here it is. And as you can see, it is very busy. We're being packed in right now and we have started the run. So you can see we're losing a couple of seconds here right at the start as we are penned into the middle of the crowd. As you can see on the right hand side, there is a chain there too. So you can't really go around that right hand side until this section here where you can now begin to overtake. However, if you boxed in, there's nothing really you can do. So we had a little bit of a slow start, but we are beginning to pick up the pace right now. As you can see on the floor, it is a gravel path to begin with, but right now we just need to find some space so that we can start picking up the pace. And if you do want any information on any of the elevation or my paces, I will leave a link to my Strava in the description below so you can go and check that out. But here's that first right hand turn as we go around the caravan site and move on to the more of a traily sort of path. As you can see, it is quite gravelly too, so really in the winter months it's not going to get that muddy or slippy, so hopefully you'll be fine in road shoes if you don't have any trail shoes. And as you can see, we are now on the grass as we go to overtake a couple of people, but do be wary that this grass bit ends and there are fences, so you need to come back in because it will bottleneck, otherwise you'll start taking people out. But that is all for the trail paths as we now head back onto the gravel section, so the hard compacted section, which is good. It is still fairly busy on the course right now, however, there is little gaps where you can overtake people, which is good, and it is quite cool running alongside that race course on the left hand side too, as you get to see all the jumps and stuff like that. So if you're into the races and things like that, definitely come to this park run. But I do hope you're finding this all useful, and if you are, do make sure to smash that like button on the video and also subscribe if you are new, as we get a new park run out every week. But we're doing all right at the moment, starting to pick up the pace now, so hopefully we can get a decent time. 1 kilometre in and 4 kilometres to go. As you can see, it is still really flat. It's still fairly busy too, however, there's definitely a lot more space. Now, we ran that first kilometre at a time of 4:46, so that is a lot quicker than I have been doing them on the past 2 runs. So hopefully we can keep this up and start chalking our times off. But we're now heading towards the northern side of the racecourse. 2 people there flying past us. They were obviously late to the run, but it is really cool running alongside the racecourse, and it'd be quite cool if there were some horses running and doing the jumps too, but obviously that would never be the case. Another kilometre down, going out slightly slower now as we realise how quickly we went out to begin with. So we got 26 minutes and 4 seconds in the previous week's run in Cosmeston Lake, so that is the one which we are trying to beat today. It is still all really flat, hard standing course, so not much has changed since I last spoke to you. Two kilometres down and 3 kilometres to go. So that was done at a pace of 4 minutes 50. On our right hand side right now is the golf course. So fingers crossed that if anyone's on the golf course on that day that they're a good hitter, as you don't want to get pummeled with golf balls. But it's now a gentle incline up to the top. So you'll notice that it will go up from about 57 metres all the way up to about 65 metres. So it's a very gentle incline. You can kind of see it on the camera with a little the little hump there up at the top. So there's the little bit of the hump for the horses too. And once we get up to that top, it'll be straight back down to the bottom and we'll be heading to that U-turn. And so we've made it to the top, and you'll begin to notice that people are now coming back towards you on that left-hand side. So do make sure to keep to the right here, otherwise you are going to collide with the runner, which has already done that U-turn and is on their way home. But now it is a gentle decline back to the other side, and you'll notice from the map on the left we nearly do a full loop of the course, so it's probably going to go back down to the same elevation that we had there at the start. As you can see as well, Warwick Cathedral in the background is pretty cool to see. So this is probably the nicest view of the run, and we're now doing pretty well as we head towards our halfway point. And now we're heading towards the U-turn, so it's about time that we turn around and head our way all the way back to where we started. So again, back towards that gentle incline. So we're doing all right at the moment. We're about half of the way in. Well, we are half the way in because we've just done that U-turn, and the finish line is exactly where you started. So if we keep this up, we should be able to smash our time of 26 minutes and 4 seconds, which we got last week. But the question is, can we keep it up? 3 kilometers down and 2 kilometers to go. So we're heading our way back down the hill now. So this is quite a nice little break, and you can start to speed up as you head your way back to the start. We're doing quite well. That one was done at a 4:52 pace, so pretty happy with that. Again, keep your eyes out for the golf balls on the left-hand side if you can see anyone going around the course. I don't know whether it was open on the day because I didn't see anyone doing it. I think it might be a short par 3 course, but someone will have to let us know down in the comments below. And also let us know down in the comments if you've ever done a racecourse park run before, whether you've done this one or another one in the country or worldwide, and also whether you've ever done a train track one, because I always think those ones are cool too. I think I did one in Shepton Mallet. I believe that one was on an old train track, so that was pretty cool. So maybe there's some challenges which you have to do on one of the apps. I'm not too sure, but it'd be pretty cool if you got all of those completed. And we are halfway down the long straight of the racecourse. As you can see, it has opened up a lot more than it had done previously when we were stuck behind people, but now we've got plenty of space to run as quick as we would like. So I'm currently running at a 4:46 pace, which is pretty good. I don't know what's going on with the pace on the bottom right, because it keeps flying up and down at the moment. So obviously the GPS is messing up there, but if we can keep this up, we could even get a sub 25-minute park run, which I'll be buzzing about because I've not been able to do that since I've been traveling. With just over half a kilometre to go, it now feels like we're running towards the finish line of a horse race as we are on that final straight. It's pretty cool as well to look off to the right-hand side, as you'll see the big grandstand where people go to watch the races on the weekends and during the week. As you can see, it is still a flat course, and this is back towards where we started. So we're going to be turning off to the left in just a moment and back onto the trail paths, but we're doing quite well. Currently running at about a 4:50 pace again, so if we can keep this up, we should be smashing our time from last week. And now we are close to the finish line, and I'd probably say that previous bit where it is the trail path, maybe that's a slight uphill from when you go off the race course onto the trail. I think that's like maybe a slight uphill there, turn right and back downhill to this path here. You're going to turn off to the left now, and then it is the final sprint finish. You can see the finish line just over there in the distance. Can we pick it up and maybe pass a couple of people? We're catching up to Orange, but it looks like Orange might just get ahead of me. Can we get under 25 minutes too? That'll be incredible. That'll be an over 1 minute reduction from last week. Come on, all the people there on the left-hand side who have finished already, keep pushing it. Definitely beating that 25 minutes, and we're going to get a time there of 24 minutes and 48 seconds with a position there of 162. So we'll definitely take that. Improving our fitness each week again. Obviously we were knackered, so we turned that GoPro off straight away. We got our photo with the sign and then waited for Beth to finish. But now it's time to go through a summary of Warwick Racecourse Parkrun. Warwick Racecourse Parkrun complete, ticking off our 3rd W on the alphabet challenge. So we've done Warwick Racecourse, Worcester Pitchcroft and Worcester Park Runs. All of those have actually been really good fun too, so I definitely recommend giving all of those a go. We also managed to tick off 48 seconds on our stopwatch bingo challenge too, so it was all worth it even though we weren't able to get our time onto the leaderboard. However, I definitely think that this park run has the potential for a PB, especially after running it and especially after seeing how quickly I got after just 3 weeks from being back from travelling. After watching back the park run, I actually think it is quite scenic when you get to the top of that hill and you can see over Warwick and you can see the cathedral in the background too, so I definitely like that bit. But apart from that, it is all pretty repetitive, especially as it is an out and back course. In terms of the shoes too, I'd actually say that maybe road shoes is okay. In the winter months, I can't imagine it getting too boggy, and if it does get too boggy, it may actually flood in that area. I don't know whether it's on a flood zone or not, so it's likely to be cancelled if it gets too bad. However, in the winter months, I definitely recommend taking trail shoes nonetheless. And obviously, as we saw, it does get pretty busy too, especially when you're constricted in between the two barriers. So if you are going for a PB, I'd make sure to get to the front. But the volunteers did a great job on the day, so I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the volunteers who are there, because without them, the park run does not go ahead and it would be utter chaos, especially with how busy this park run is. But as we always do, it is now time to go through a couple of the pinch points. So these are the points which are going to slow you down at this park run. Starting off with number 1, which is the busy start. So I've already gone through this. Get to the front if you're trying to get your PB. And then number 2, I'm going to say, is the slight incline at the far end. So that is going to slow you down definitely, especially as you have to push your way up, back down, turn around, and then back up and down again. So that's definitely going to take a few seconds off your time. And then the third one is the U-turn. It's quite a tight U-turn too, as the path is so constricted. So it's a quick stop, start, and you're off again. So you'll probably lose like a half second, maybe another second on that. But I do always find the U-turns slow me down quite a bit because it takes off all the pace. And then when I pick up the pace again, I never actually get back to the pace which I was at. You'll have to let me know down in the comments if you have that issue too, or if you have any tips on how to avoid doing that, because I definitely do that quite a lot of these park runs. But apart from that, it is not too difficult a park run, as we saw with such quick park run records at Warwick Racecourse Park Run. But now it is time to go through a few tips and tricks for this park run. So how to get there and where to go for that post-park run coffee, starting off with public transport. So if you want to get there via train, that is actually not too bad an option, because there are 2 stops which are quite close to this park run, including Warwick Parkway and Warwick train station itself. Warwick is the closest one, and from there it is just a 22-minute walk to the start line, or you can get a taxi and that'll take just 4 minutes. So nice and close, and definitely recommend doing it that way. Or if you wanted to get there via bus, then the closest bus stop is actually the Warwick bus station. So quite a lot of buses do go into there in the morning, and from there it is just a 7-minute walk to the start line. So that's not a bad option either. And then finally, if you want to get there via car, there are plenty of car parks in and around the area. So there are 3 around the racecourse and then 1 in the city, which I recommend you going to. So the 3 around the racecourse, area 2 and area 4, you have to pay for, and it is £1 per hour, and it's pay and display. They do take card. And then area 3 is free for 2 hours. So I recommend going to that one. However, it does get quite busy there, so we were unable to get a spot, so we had to go to one of the other areas instead. So it depends on how early you get there as to whether you'll find a spot. There is also West Rock Car Park 2, which again is pay and display, so £1 per hour, and it's just a little bit further out. But all of these car parks are less than 10 minutes to get to the start, so can't really complain. And finally, the most important part of this video, where to go for that post-park run coffee. So the cafe which they go to is called Forester's Close, and it is a less than 10-minute walk from the start. So it's a nice little pub, not too far, and you can go to the toilet after the park run there too, which is great. But those are going to be all of my tips and tricks for this park run. So if you do have any of your own, do make sure to let us know down in that comment section below, and I'll try and pin them up to the top so that everyone else can see them. And now let's take a look at my after run stats. So the number of park runs obviously increases to 75 at 55 different locations. But apart from that, everything else stays the same, from my best finish position to all of my best times. But if you did enjoy this one, you should go and check out last week's video where we went to Cosmeston Lakes Park Run, which was really cool. It was slightly hillier, but again, another great video there. Or you can go and check out all of my other park runs in the worldwide park run playlist. So we've got some from Asia, got some from the Nordics too, and also Ireland and obviously the UK, so that's pretty cool. But next week we are heading back to Evesham Park Run, as I'm going to be attending a wedding on the Sunday, so I'm going to be trying to get another sub 25 time there just before the wedding, and hopefully do not injure myself either. But if you enjoyed, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all next week.